This is from the website thewaythetruthandthelife.net.
This is for Attorney General Loreta Lynch, former Congressman Joe Walch, and for television commentator Michael Savage. You are failing the main point about Islam. Why don't you wake up and look at the facts? Islam stands accused of being a murder cult. Look at what that accusation is based on and speak about the Koran. Islam is founded on a book that makes it brainwash people into murdering. I am accusing the Koran as being the foundation of a murder cult. There are nice surahs in there where Jesus made mud birds and blew on them and they flew away and they prayed towards Jerusalem. That was before Mohammad wasn't helped against his native tribe by the Jews present in Mecca. And he had a battle, and after he won the battle and the Jews hadn't helped him, he murdered in the order of 600 of them. He also had sex with a 9-year-old. And he is supposed to be the perfect model. But when the Jews didn't help him against his own tribe, he changed. He had Surah number 2.
105 Those who disbelieve from among the followers of the book do not like, nor do the polytheists, that the good should be sent down to you from your Lord, and Allah chooses especially whom He pleases for His mercy, and Allah is the Lord of mighty grace. Point 106 Whatever communications we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, we bring one better than it or like it. Do you not know that Allah has power over all things? Point 107 Do you not know that Allah's is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and that besides Allah you have no guardian or helper? Point 108 Rather you wish to put questions to your apostle, as Moses, was questioned before, and whoever adopts a belief instead of faith, he indeed has lost the right direction of the way. Point 109 Many of the followers of the book wish that they could turn you back into unbelievers after your faith, out of envy from themselves, even after the truth has become manifest to them. But pardon and forgive, so that Allah should bring about His command. Surely Allah has power over all things.
Which is a surah of abrogation. And all the nice surahs that they show to you outside the mosque don't mean anything, and every imam knows that. The surahs that mean something are like 8 and 9.
Allah gives immunity to Muslims, a license to murder, steal, enslave non-Muslims, and this is what children are forced to memorize before the age of reason. That is why some are murdering robots. If they rebel, it is the death penalty. Surah 8.12 When your Lord revealed to the angels, I am with you, therefore make firm those who believe. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore strike off their heads and strike off every finger to cut them. Surah 9 The immunity, this is later and abrogates all the nice surahs. It is a license from Allah to murder, enslave and steal from non-Muslims. Point 1 This is a declaration of immunity by Allah and His apostle towards those of the idolaters with whom you made an agreement. Point 2 So go about in the land for 4 months and know that you cannot weaken Allah and that Allah will bring disgrace to the unbelievers. Point 3 And an announcement from Allah and His apostle to the people on the day of the greater pilgrimage that Allah and His apostle are free from liability to the idolaters. Therefore, if you repent, it will be better for you, and if you turn back, then know that you will not weaken Allah, and announce painful punishment to those who disbelieve. Point 4 Except those of the idolaters with whom you made an agreement, then they have not failed you in anything and have not backed up anyone against you, so fulfill their agreement to the end of their term. Surely Allah loves those who are careful of their duty. Point 5 So, when the sacred months have passed away, then slay the idolaters, wherever you find them, and take them captives and besiege them and lie in wait for them in every ambush. Then, if they repent and keep up prayer and pay the poor rate, extortion, leave their way free to them. Surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. left curly bracket the 3 successive forbidden months mentioned by Muhammad. Months in which battles are forbidden are Dhu al-Qa'dah, Dhu al-Hijjah, and Muharram, months 11, 12, and 1. The single forbidden month is Rajab, month 7. These months were considered forbidden both within the new Islamic calendar and within the old pagan Meccan calendar, although whether they maintained their forbidden status after the conquest of Mecca has been disputed among Islamic scholars. Right curly bracket.
Now, don't pay any attention to the numbers on the surahs. To confuse the unbeliever and uninitiated, they're all mixed up. So you don't know which ones count and which ones don't. But all the imams know that, and when they're teaching in the madrasas, they teach the ones that count.
I wake up every day and I think I'm at home, but then I open my eyes and I see I'm in my room, I'm in the madrasa.
This is about two brothers that are in a madrasa in Pakistan. You see the other boys that are there with them having to memorize the Koran. That's important. Keep this in mind.
And it always strikes me with it's like a big punch. Like I came here and I'm not with my family. All these kids are sleeping in the room with me. I miss my family so much. I'm never gonna send my kids off to a madrasa by themselves.
मेरा नाम मुफ्ती मोहम्मद नईम है। मैं जामे बिनूरिया आलमिया का प्रिंसिपल हूँ। अमेरिका के लड़के लड़कियां मिलाकर 70-80 बच्चे अभी पढ़ रहे हैं।
This place is disgusting. It smells. It's dirty all around. You get sick too much here. I can't sleep right. The teachers hit everybody and hit them with man punch.
This is the same boys after 2 years.
How has your life changed since you come here?
Since the first time we met you, you changed a lot.
अब बच्चों का जब हम ज़हन ये बनाते हैं तो एक ज़हन ऐसा बन जाता है कि ये बच्चे इंशाल्लाह जब अपने मुल्कों में जाएंगे तो वहाँ जाकर उन बच्चों का भी ज़हन ये बनाएंगे कि भाई इनको तुम जो है।
Okay, well, what other things do you believe?
I believe all this stuff.
You still want to go back to the U.S.?
Well, yeah, kind of.
ये बच्चे गैर मुस्लिमों को भी मुसलमान बना सकेंगे और जो मुसलमानों की औलादें भटक रही हैं गलत रास्ते में उनको भी सही करेंगे।
Last year you were determined to go back. Now it seems like...
Kind of like a robot with no feelings now, probably. You try living here for like almost 3 years or something, and then let's see how you act.
Now just over 3 years.
But when you're in an environment where it's 24/7 Islam, then you kind of start understanding what it's really about.
मसलन ये इफ्तिखार है ये अपने इलाके के अंदर जब बन के जाएगा और लोग इसको देखेंगे कि पहले इसकी क्या हालत थी।
My main goal is to go back to spread Islam all over USA.
I'm glad my father sent me here. I've turned into a better person.
There's some people that are kind of corrupted in the mind, just like American people are that are corrupted in mind, that bombing places, killing people.
Not one Jewish person died in the 9/11 attacks.
The Muslim people didn't do it.
Behind the 9/11 attacks, there was no Muslim involved.
You're the terrorists. American people are terrorists. We're not the terrorists. We're trying to save our family. We're trying to have a mom and dad. We wish we had a mom and dad, but until you guys came and killed them.
This world wasn't made for us to enjoy life. It was made for us so that we could obey God.
Their God is Muhammad's God, Allah, the God of Daniel 11, verse 13 in the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament for Christians. The oil money built madrasas all over Pakistan in its conflict with India during the breakup. And the oil money still, children can go there for free and learn to memorize the Quran. Get some idea of this scope here.
Two Pakistani-American brothers sent away by their parents 4 years ago to study at a fundamentalist religious school in Pakistan have returned to the United States. The conditions they endured are the focus of the documentary The Karachi Kids. Joining us are the film's maker, Imran Raza, and Erica Pertiera of the South Asia Foundation for Educational Reform. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Imran, let me start with you. You go to Pakistan. You have very substantial family roots there. You think you're just going over to start to work on a documentary about a madrasa. What did you find?
Well, as I walked into the madrasa, the big surprise happened when I suddenly heard two voices that were perfect American English, and you just sort of, when you're walking through and when you see the environment and you watch the film, I mean, the environment is just so different, and nobody really speaks English, and then suddenly you hear two kids saying, "Are you American?" And then there was this immediate sort of bond, because at that time they really wanted to get out of the madrasa, and so we connected on that level.
And over time, because you show this in your documentary, their attitudes change clearly as they. There's no real other way to say it, as they become indoctrinated, as they become brainwashed.
Right. I mean, they went from, obviously really, just fervently wanting to leave, to now where they feel that it was a great thing that has, improved themselves. So there's a dramatic change that's taken place. Obviously, they've been in it's an environment that they've been in for nearly 4 years.
Yeah. Erica, as it becomes clear to you once you've seen this film and hear about the plight of these American kids, in particular these kids from Atlanta, how did you get involved and how did you get them sprung?
Well, a friend of mine from California sent me the tape, and when you first see the tape of September '05 in the documentary, you're so compelled to help these boys. They're begging to get out of there. They're realizing they're missing their education. And so that really clearly moved me. And the more I helped Imran on the film, I got engaged with this issue on madrasas, and realizing that these boys are just the tip of the iceberg. We have over 600 U.S. boys in Pakistan, all over madrasas, and we still have 78 boys in that particular madrasa, and I will continue to fight. I'm planning to go to Washington next week to meet with members of Congress, and I plan to try to get all these boys back.
Yeah. I met the father, and essentially, he's a simple guy. He's uneducated. He's a taxi driver. He's also poor. I mean, he's not well off. And what he told me was that the reason he couldn't train them in madrasas out here is because he couldn't send them to madrasas out here was because he couldn't afford it.
Now, this next video clip of a 3-year-old is not of radical Islam. It is mainstream Islam from Saudi Arabia, where every imam that is respected must learn to teach the Koran in Arabic and be vetted by these people.
Child Basmala on Prophet Muhammad and the Jews. Accurate TV, Saudi Arabia, May 7th, 2002. Saudi Arabia call-in number 0037-888-6531. Our report today will be a little bit different because our guest will be a girl, a Muslim girl, but a true Muslim. Allah willing, may God give us the strength to give our children the same education so that the next generation of children will be true Muslims who know they are true Muslims and know who their enemies are. This child will now introduce herself. She's the daughter of a sister in Islam, Huaida, and of the artist Wagdi Al-Arabi. Her name is Basmala, and I will ask her too. Peace be upon you. Allah's mercy and blessings upon you. Peace be upon you. Allah's mercy and blessings upon you. What is your name, Basmala?
بسملة عندك كم سنة؟
How old are you, Bashmala? 3.5.
أنت مسلم؟
Are you a Muslim? Yes.
بسملة أنت تعرفي اليهود؟
Bashmala, do you know the Jews? Yes.
بتحبيهم؟
Do you like them? No.
لا ما بتحبيهمش ليه؟
Why don't you like them? Because?
عشان هم إيه؟
Because they are what? They are apes and pigs.
عشان هم قردة وخنازير.
Because they are apes and pigs? Who said that about them?
مين قال عليهم كده؟
Our God.
قال عليهم فين؟
Where did he say that about them? In the Koran?
قال عليهم في القرآن.
He said that about them in the Koran. That's right.
طب ويا بسملة اليهود بيعملوا
Bashmala, what did the Jews do?
إيه؟
What?
بيعملوا إيه؟
What did they do? The Pepsi Company.
أنت تعرفي المقاطعة كمان يا بسملة؟
So you know about the boycott too, Bashmala. Yes.
وهم كانوا بيحبوا سيدنا محمد الرسول عليه السلام؟ لا كانوا.
Did they love our prophet Mohammad? No.
ليه كانوا بيعملوا فيه إيه اليهود؟
What did the Jews do to him? He killed someone.
طبعا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كان قوي كان يقدر.
Of course, our prophet Muhammad was strong and could kill them.
يقتلهم. طيب وانت تعرفي احاديث عن اليهود مع سيدنا محمد؟
Okay. Do you know the traditions about what the Jews did to our prophet Muhammad? Is there a story you know? Yes. Which one? The one about the Jewish woman? What did the Jewish woman do to our prophet Muhammad? The Jewish woman? Yes. She invited the Prophet and his companions. When he asked her if she had put poison in the food, she said yes. He asked her, why did you do this? She replied, if you are a liar, you will die, and Allah will not protect you. But if you speak the truth, Allah will protect you. And God protected the Prophet, of course. And he said to his companions, I will kill this woman. Of course, she put poison in his food, this Jewess.
He just said that Mohammed was responsible for the murder of her husband and also her murder. Now let's look at some Palestinian children whose mother committed suicide in order to murder some Jews.
ننتقل الآن إلى ابني الاستشهادية المجاهدة ريم رقاشي ضحى ومحمد. ضحى بتحبي ماما؟ طب وين ماما راحت الآن؟ في الجنة. إيش عملت ماما؟ استشهدت. قتلت من اليهود كم قتلت يا محمد؟ كم قتلت ماما من اليهود؟ كم هذولا؟ 5. تحب ماما؟ نفسك تروح عند ماما؟ طب وين ماما يا محمد؟ الجنة. ضحى تنشدي انت، انشدي لنا شيء، شو بدك تنشدي؟ بسم الله الرحمن تقرأي قرآن. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت
رأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا.
Notice that the children are reciting what they've memorized from the Koran to celebrate their mother's suicide and her murder of 5 Jews. Like Michael Savage said, no religion would endorse suicide, but Islam does. It is not a religion, it's a theocratic pyramid scheme murdering cult. That is my accusation from reading the Quran, Surah 8 and 9, and many other evidences. There is much ignorance of the Quran. Thomas Jefferson had it translated into English because as he was president, America was paying up to 20% of its federal budget every year to buy back ships and enslaved Americans over in the Mediterranean. They paid the Diet of Algiers. They met him in Paris, France. That was included Ben Franklin. But the Diet of Algiers was under the control of the Turkish Caliphate, which Erdogan is trying to establish again. But when the Diet of Algiers was asked why they were doing this, grabbing these ships and murdering and enslaving the crews, he said it was in their holy book. You're not Muslim, you owe us, and if you don't convert, you need to have your head cut off. And for that reason, Thomas Jefferson wanted to know the book of the enemy. My wife Olga knew about this because her grandfather in Armenia, back around the turn of the century, between 1800 and 1900, he made wagon wheels. And there were Muslims that lived in the area of that Russian Malakani settlement. That's home church Russians that had escaped Russia persecution of the Tsar. And at any rate, he made these wheels. And a Muslim man asked him to make some wagon wheels, and he did. And he delivered them, and he was invited in for tea. And while he was having tea, he asked the Muslim, how come you come and rob our cows, and how come you rob from us all the time? And the Muslim told him, you owe us. It's in our book. Well, that's something confirmed by Thomas Jefferson when he got a translation of the Quran. If you haven't bothered to, no, that Jeffersonian Quran is now being used by Muslims to take the oath of office. But if you haven't studied the Quran, in this little clip here, when it refers to surahs, that's equivalent to like a verse in the Bible.
إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح سورة المسد شو بدك تنشدي لنا الآن؟
مريم.
انشدي لنا ومريم. انشدي أي شيء، شو بدك تنشدي؟ محمد تعرف تنشد؟ طب يلا انشد لنا شيء. ايش بدك تنشد؟
عرفت.
انت بالروضة؟ شاطر بالروضة؟
أنا بالروضة.
يلا احكي، انت في الروضة كمان؟ انت في الروضة يا ضحى؟ في الروضة ولا في المدرسة؟
في الروضة.
ما شاء الله. يعني العالم ما أتحدث يعني براءة الأطفال، وإذا سألت أنت كمان في الروضة.
أنا بدي أحكي في الروضة. أنت
شو بدك تنشدي لنا؟ تسمعي أنشودة ماما ريم؟ طيب يلا انشد لنا إياها. عشان
يا أبو نار.
يلا كن شاطر ونشدها.
وين رشاشك الشعار.
نعم. محمد ايش بدك يلا انشد لنا. نعم يعني
ما خلصت.
طيب بدكم تروحوا عند ماما؟ قتلت من اليهود. كم قتلت يا محمد؟ كم قتلت ماما من اليهود؟ كم هذولا؟ 5. تحب ماما؟ نفسك تروح عند ماما؟ طب وين ماما يا محمد؟ الجنة.
The children's response to their mother's death is not traumatic. Did you notice that? Our Western, modern, liberal culture doesn't understand this. When I was a boy, the doctor came to the house. You saw the sick person, you saw them get sicker and saw them die, and you had the funeral right in the casket in the home. These life and death were part of life. That's all been changed in this modern time, that the liberal modern Western child doesn't know anything about it. They don't visit sick people. They're kept out of funerals many times, and they are not aware of reality as young children, so they don't deal with it realistically when they're old. They can't understand that the Muslims understand that children can deal with violence and death and all this, and they will be able to then deal with it and not be traumatized when they're older. But there's no understanding in these liberals from the modern university of this. It's they want to be kind to everybody and like this and that, and it's just an ignorance that we need to wake up. I left off the source of my important insight into this. It was taking Sociology 101 at Syracuse University, and the professor, who had a lot of field experience, he had worked with the UN after the Second World War in the ravaged countries, helping orphanages and all kinds of stuff. But he was saying how children have emotional levels the same as psychological levels, so educators would know Piagetian levels. But that just like a child below the age of 5 or 6 or so that can't conserve volume. Put something in a taller glass, a thinner glass, and they think there's more there and that kind of stuff. But these levels of development are there emotionally also, and the professor was teaching about that. You could probably find references to it. But at any rate, his example was another professor had gotten a puppy for his little girl. And then he was backing out of the driveway and ran over the puppy and killed it. And he felt so bad, he come in and he told his little girl, "Oh, I just ran over the puppy." And his little girl's response was, "Oh, goody, we can have a funeral." They don't have the emotional trauma of an older person. Death and these things don't have the same significance to them as it does to an adult. And they need to be exposed to reality so they can deal with reality as an adult, rather than a bunch of book-learning liberals that don't know what end is up, and they're betraying their own children. I'm not condemning someone because they're a Muslim. If you were born with your father a Muslim, by Sharia law, you're a Muslim. It's true that young women from America and Europe and Australia are going to join ISIS, many. That's a natural thing. I have explained in a high school problem with black and white, which had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the genetic. Women who are attracted to the invader as a genetic survival trait. They tend to have babies, so that genetic characteristic tends to get carried on. There is a problem with that women are attracted to to the invader. Ask any soldier from any country, any race, when he goes to a foreign country, the young women are more attracted to him than they are to the local boys. It's just a common thing. Okay. And many in the prisons with their hatred and desire for justification and vengeance convert to Islam. And many are not religious. I've had Muslim friends. But here's the point, the accusation that I'm making, and it's there. If you take a child and just give them the Koran to memorize and the stories about Muhammad as the ideal prophet without any other involvement, that child, as an adult, if they believe what they've memorized in the Quran, that's those surahs that I mentioned, like 8 and 9 and others, and all the magic and all the rewards in this magic place up in the clouds, and all of the glory of killing those who are opposed to their God of force. If you just give them that book to memorize, you've got a number of them that are willing and able to be good Muslims and carry out Surah 8 and 9. And it's happened ever since Muhammad started it, and it hasn't stopped. Look at how many millions were murdered in India. Now, don't get me wrong. The degradation of the home culture, the breakdown of the mother not being willing to care for their children, putting them in daycare, and the loss of culture where the children used to be raised by the family and have the wisdom of the grandparents. There's here in Russia, they don't even have fathers half the time. And the same thing more and more in America. And look at what's happening to America without any fathers after the Great Society, where Johnson gave the women, if they dumped the man and have children, they'd give them an apartment and welfare. And look what that's done to them. I'm going to end with a little skit from that.
This McDonald's never had my mother fresh cookies. I got a call every time for my fresh cookies. Hi.
Hi, can I have you pull over to the side right now, please?
Are y'all gonna have my fresh cookies?
Yes.
And how long? How long?
2 minutes.
2 more minutes?
Yeah.
2 more minutes?
Yes.
God damn. What's your name? You the new manager?
I'm the manager here.
The new one, right?
Yeah.
Damn, 2 more minutes. I'm going to ask you next time I come, can y'all please have some fresh cookies? Because I literally call and make orders every time. It's not fine. Damn, for 3 cookies, I gotta pull up for 3 cookies?
Yes,
2 minutes?
Have a great day.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you record, I'm being nice to you, okay?
All right, well, close the damn thing. You said you was gonna. Yep, I am.
Can you please pull over?
I am.
Okay. Can I have her money back, please? I'm gonna ask you to leave.
All right, give me my damn money for sure, cause y'all got some raggedy employees anyway. I don't want y'all cookies. The up in there showing each other manicures and manicures. That's what y'all got. Give me my money back. Give me my money back. I'ma tag y'all too. I'ma tag y'all on Facebook so look for me, cause this is ridiculous. I got a call every time for some fresh cookies at McDonald's. Why I got a call every time? This is ridiculous.
Okay. You want to do that same thing? I could do it too, ma'am.
Yeah, my name is Brandy Wooten. Follow me on Facebook. The Brandy Hive going up. Woo, 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 woo. I really do this. I'm a real blogger, though, honey. Where's my money? Can I have my money? You already didn't threaten me. You was going to cash me my money, so give me my money. Damn. All right, hurry up then, because that's what you said. You said you was going to give me my money, so give me my money. Give me my money. Give me my money. Where's my money? Give me my money. Thank you, boo. I will never come over here again. Look at her raggedy. Remember her face. The Brandy Hive going up, and I will leave when I want to. I will you too.
It's no wonder that Muslims can point at Western culture and say, look how degraded it is, and we've got to get rid of it. The idea of children being respected. Let me show you a chart on the murder rate compared to the murder rate of Islam, the murder rate of women's liberation. It's true that Islam has murdered in the order of 150 million, but that is in the order of 1,500 years. So that comes out to averaging 1,000 a year. But the average rate that socialism has murdered is 1 million a year. That was in Russia. And fascism, Islamofascism under the Nazis, they murdered at a rate of 10 million a year. But now look at women's liberation. What's going on here? They're murdering 50 million a year. Where is the more greater evil? Wake up and look at reality, that children need to be respected and born, conceived by parents that are healthy and entitled to a family, a healthy, holistic family with a mother in the home as a homemaker and a father providing and protecting, and that family relationships, that the children have the social development, that they get to play with other children with the benefit of a maternal nursing bond for 2 to 4 years. Please look at the reality. In California, they've tried to outlaw home teaching, and they did some research before the court ruled on the law that had been passed, and they didn't allow it because when the research was done, the homeschooled children of Christian parents did far better than those in school. And one of the most dramatic things was the parents who had no background in teaching did better than the mothers who had a background as a teacher. Because when you take 20 children or 30 children and shove them in a classroom and make them sit down and shut up and all do the same thing at the same time, you're depriving them of a healthy, natural educational development. But they do need to be out there playing with other children during brain growth, also developing their social skills. Just quickly, I taught math for the bad boys, and I had a needs of children seminar. It was 8-week seminar, and the one I had a child psychiatrist, a psychologist, Dr. Donna Ferrio from the Western New York Child and Adolescent Psychiatric Clinic lecture about troubled youth, because that was the center where, for the whole Erie County, they sent troubled children. And when he got through, I was the organizer, so I introduced him for the question and answer period, and I said, so I was teaching math for the bad boys, math for the building trades, instead of sending these bad boys off to BOCES. They had me develop a math course, math for the building trades. And I said, oh, these are the boys in those days with chains on their belt and leather boots and hard rock guys, leather jackets and stuff. I said, that doesn't sound like my bad boys. And he says, no, those boys out on the street are not going to be psychiatrically disabled. It's the ones who are stuck in the home that don't get to develop the social skills while they have the brain development going on. And the very next year, the kid that had graduated at the top of the high school class went off to Harvard, and within half a year he was back washing dishes in the restaurant where I'd go for supper. And it turns out his father was a dentist and his mother made him stay home and study all the time. He didn't get the social development. So when he went off to Harvard, he didn't have the social skills to cope with the freedom and interaction with people. It was more comfortable to come home and work as a dishwasher. Let's look at the needs of children, and let's start enforcing what they need. Look at this autism chart. Look at this graph of autism from 1975 to 2009, and how many people, parents that have disabled their children or been unable to provide them what they needed, have gotten millions of dollars from the drug company funds claiming their drugs disabled their children, where the doctor that published that mercury was the cause of the problem in the English journal, medical journal Lancelot, lost his license because it was shown that he was a fraud, and the reporter looked into it, his family got thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars from the lawyers who get the 10% or whatever percent from representing these parents of autistic children and getting them millions of dollars by the women judges, especially giving it away from these drug companies that have to put up a fund for any of their drugs that do harm. What a crime against humanity to do this to children. It wasn't when I grew up. It was like 1 in 2,000, and it still is amongst the Amish who do breastfeeding and have a family together. Let's let people do whatever they want to do, but if they want to have a child, they've got to be prepared, and they need to be rewarded, and they need to be punished if they don't meet that child's rights to a healthy development. Look at my video 332 on Erdogan and Turkey for more background on this.